Women's rights killed masculinity. Today's society has eliminated the male mentor in an effort by women to lower young men's aspirations. Men agree that women handled this situation well, because they handled it well. I'm a feminist because I hate masculinity. Males have become more submissive and tolerant because we have failed to provide a healthy outlet for their animosity. Because we're women, we're more forgiving of other women's mistakes and our own. I don't like M&A, but he's right. Sports and pornographic content numb us. We medicate boys so they won't fight, explore, and tire themselves. This prevents misbehavior. Watching sports on TV or playing video games on a computer is pointless. This turns a child's charm and enthusiasm into an adult's inexperience and uncertainty. We have created a society of yes men, or men who are sympathetic to women's rights and will comply with their demands and outrage. He would do anything to avoid conflict, commitment, and loneliness. He's afraid of being alone, not just romantically. He fears conflict. Dedication means taking charge of one's life, discovering one's values, and working hard to achieve them. When we spend our time mindlessly playing video games online instead of doing anything productive, moderation seems foreign. How many of us are ignorant of our culture's pillars, history, philosophy, art, music, the classics, Shakespeare's poetry, and other manly ideas? How many Americans are unaware of our founding documents? Our educational program relies on these books to develop well-rounded and goal-oriented young men. Shakespeare can be enjoyed by anyone, regardless of language interest, and the Bible can be read differently by anyone, regardless of religion or spirituality. Many of history's greatest minds, Aristotle, Plato, Nikola Tesla, Charles Darwin, Michelangelo, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, Feynman, and Alexander the Great, are being forgotten due to their ethnicity. I'm curious how many young guys can correctly identify their favorite team's starting lineup. Since male Star Wars fans don't have time to read, it's no surprise that fewer people can name as many scientists. Women's rights will accelerate the loss of Iliad culture. We don't know, because teaching young women to value logic over emotion was unethical. Writings are simpler now. We prioritize sensitivity over honesty. Dickens' essays focus on the author's reactions to Dickens' privilege rather than on Dickens' works. Today, helping children is seen as pedophilia and predatory, but Mr. Rogers was never treated that way. Modern women's rights claims men are incapable of such feelings and commitments without ulterior motives. But Fred Rogers was the most compassionate and caring person. We allow women to harass innate masculine influence because of erroneous suspicions that any male within arm's reach of a child may romantically assault the child. I recommend Mel Gibson's The Man, Without a Face. Gibson plays Mr. McLeod, a school teacher whose student dies in a car accident. He has isolated himself and cannot accept his loss due to mental and physical trauma. After meeting Chuck Norris' dad, his interest in learning returns. Selecting the red pill after watching this movie is smart. Chuck is preparing to leave his mother and sisters to attend boarding school to become an Air Force pilot like his father. His unbridled enthusiasm leaves the girls speechless. His mother married several times. He lacks positive male relationships. He has no one to guide him, and his sisters can't help. Chuck cannot help his mother find betters. Even though he lacks teachers for geometry, Latin, and English, Euclid becomes his companion, guide, and teacher. Despite missing those teachers, he adds vital information. Working hard is work ethic. Only you can manage your desires. Understanding truth requires developing your reasoning and critical thinking skills. Why morality and decency underpin a manly life? How many of you have benefited from a man like this? Because many men grew up without male wisdom and mentorship. If we don't reintroduce male wisdom and mentoring to young boys, we risk raising fragile, oversensitive, and compliant citizens. What advantages do men have when schools hire wealthy guidance counselors and teachers? A wealthy school counselor who supports the death penalty should teach a student who grew up in the projects and experienced violence. He and she share no interests. He needs a mentor to steer him away from failure and encourage him to develop. He needs role models like this who won't question his authority. If he wants to improve, he needs less praise and more discipline. Women's rights no longer considers men role models. That killed masculinity. Masculinity is both a biological state and a long-standing practice. Father-son relationships have endured for millennia, making them extraordinary. It glues societies. Despite what the media says, young men should pursue it after reaching manhood. Patriarchy and male accountability were key to group cohesion. Men are more likely than women to cooperate and find solutions in a survival situation. I don't understand how women built civilizations or led tribes when they can't even take care of themselves today. I'm baffled. However, any good feminist will tell you that manliness is the root of all bad. Manliness causes all world problems. Here, masculinity as a social category is attacked completely. How could you comprehend his unjustified hatred for you? Given that negotiation is impossible, what do you tell these women? This project needs your help. Only this makes sense. Maintaining macho movements is our only chance. Regaining ground is possible. We can raise our sons well and fight society's insanity. To help us, please watch this video. Please subscribe and send this video to anybody you think will benefit from it the most.